You're listening to the Final Siren Podcast, thanks to Rookie Me Central. My name's Peter Williams. I'm your host once again, and of course I'm back here with AFL Draft Editor Michael Alvaro. Michael, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Pete. It's good that we managed to get this one up and running after almost everything that could have gone wrong did. So, happy to be here, and hopefully we can put on a good show.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been quite a tough lead up, I guess, in many ways, trying to get technology to work and whatnot, but we're here, and hopefully it'll go well. We've got the Under-18 Championships decider. Obviously, we saw Vic Metro get up over Vic Country. We're going to discuss that. We're going to talk about the Lark medalist. We're going to talk about all the MVPs across the series, and I guess overall thoughts on that, as well as the Under-17 futures, which played on AFL Grand Final day. So, Michael, let's get stuck straight into it. All right, let's get started with the Under-18 National Championships Grand Final. We might not have thought it was going to be the Grand Final at the start of the, Carnival, but it was. Both teams went in undefeated, and in the end, it was Vic Metro, 12-8-80, getting up over Vic Country, 10-13-73. Thursday afternoon at Marvel Stadium. It was public holiday. What did you think of the game?
It was great. I think we said in the preview the week before that, the AFL couldn't have written the script any better, and it turned out perfectly with that standalone clash between the two Vic sides. And it was just a massive sort of couple of weeks. We had the NAB League Grand Final, finals going on sort of around the country, and then obviously AFL Grand Final weekend. So, it was great. The game was good too, a bit of a thriller. So, plenty to talk about in terms of prospects as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was almost the best of the best. Obviously, we had a couple missing there. George Wardlaw was out for Metro, and of course, Braden George out with that ACL for Country. But otherwise, it seemed like a pretty full-strength side from both sides. Yeah,
and a few additions as well. So, both sides brought in a couple players at least each. We saw Harvey Gallagher come in, Bailey Humphrey for Vic Country as well. And then a few prospects that probably didn't have the amount of exposure they could have during the season. So the likes of Bailey McDonald and even Rye Penny for Metro, Cooper Harvey, and then Elijah Sardis, the superstar, obviously had his debut in the Big V. So. Or at least in the 18s. It was good to watch.
Yeah, and it was a bit of an interesting contest because both teams sort of struggled to score early in the first sort of three quarters. It was later in each of the quarters that it sort of, kicked into another gear. But then we came into the last quarter and it sort of, came to life, like more so than anything else. We saw goals galore up both ends. Both teams had chances. We know inaccuracy was a huge factor in the game. What do you sort of make of the match as a whole and how it finished?
Yeah, well, dramatic finish. But yeah, you're right. All the scoring tended to be in the sort of last probably 8 minutes of each term, maybe with the exception of one. But it was a weird one because it was pretty free-flowing throughout. So both teams were able to transition pretty quickly, get end-to-end and move the ball really well. But then it was just that sort of last kick for both sides and then trying to put it through the big sticks as well, which, particularly on the countryside with 10-13, they struggled a bit there with a couple of players we'll touch on. But, in the end, as you said, came to life in the last quarter. We saw 9 goals kicked. And it went right down to the wire as well, which is really exciting and probably just a fitting end overall to the National Carnival.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know we'll speak about him a bit more after, but Will Ashcroft, Lark medalist, another 31 disposals. What more can you say?
I can probably leave it at that. But look, superstar. Lifts when his teams need it. He did so for Sandringham in the first half of the NAB League Grand Final, and throughout the season he was obviously a star. And for Metro, just got the job done, and 31 touches, a game high. It's probably unsurprising at this point, and definitely a deserving recipient of the Lark medal. Yeah,
have to agree with that. And there were quite a few of others that sort of popped up. Obviously, Sardis, as you said, first time in this carnival playing for Metro, and he had 29 disposal and debut. Matt Jefferson kicked a couple, not quite the 7 goals that he kicked out at Icon that time, but still was handy up forward. Josh Weddle took on Aaron Cadman. Cadman still had an influence, obviously. Bit inaccurate, but he was still quite good. Lewis Hayes had the 9 marks as well in defence. So there's quite a few there that, not just the stars, some of the other ones that are really key roles.
Yeah, for the Metro perspective, I mean, Jefferson probably was better than just those 2 goals suggest. His mobility inside 50, ability to get involved even when he wasn't marking was pretty impressive. So usually that's obviously his one wood, clunking a mark, kicking a goal. And even if he missed a couple, he was still active and involved. And obviously Sardis, a bit like Ashcroft, just wins tons of it. So he did it again, 29 touches, really impressive. And then, as you mentioned, those 2 defenders. So Weddle playing probably a little bit above his size. On Cadman, kept him... Well, I mean, Cadman still did a great job, but... Weddle kept him relatively contained, and Lewis Hayes with 9 marks, just keeps doing the job as well. So they're 2 of the sort of taller defenders that'll maybe creep into that top 30.
And there are a couple of pretty famous names, I guess, in many ways, boosting their stocks.
Yeah, so Alwyn Davey and Cooper Harvey, obviously father-son prospects. Alwyn Davey Jr. with Essendon, just really built into the game nicely and came in off a wing into midfield and started to impact sort of in that second half. And Cooper Harvey as well had a really good second half and obviously kicked the ceiling goal, rose in the pack from an Ashcroft kick and, from 10 metres out, top of the goal square, put it through. So I think Davey's long been regarded as sort of a top 20 prospect. Cooper Harvey might be pushing that sort of 40 range, but obviously with the bidding system that might lower their value come draft time.
Yeah, absolutely. And just on country now, obviously Aaron Cadman and Bailey Humphrey sort of kicked a combined 4-6 for the game. So Bailey Humphrey was one. We know we ended the podcast last week with a real nice touch.
Glowing praise.
Yeah, a few dedicated minutes I think we came off after that. Looked really dangerous early days. Like that 1-3 I think all came in that first half basically. He really got on top. Inside 50, it was just that finishing touch which we've come to sort of know with him. When he's up and about, he's so dangerous. But unfortunately, he could have very easily had 4 at half time.
Yeah, and he was pretty much playing out of the goal square. Like he was one out on a lot of occasions, and one-on-one he's really hard to beat. I think Jacob Anderson, to his credit, did a pretty good job. A lot of the delivery to Humphrey, though, wasn't that great. So whenever the ball didn't get to him, Anderson could intercept. And did a great job there. But he really should have done a better job finishing, and if he had, Country probably would have won. So that is something that we all know he needs to improve, and he'd probably know that as well. So it's not like a new thing that's popped up, but the fact that he's still involved in the game and I guess such a game breaker, even when he's not at his full best, he's telling of first round talent.
Yeah, and Aaron Cadman, we've touched on him a few times, obviously, Rookie Me Central medal winner. Also won the NAB League goal kicking too. So not a bad season for him. Another 3 goals. Look, at the end of the day, 6 scoring shots, 3 goals. Very, very handy player. And in my opinion, I know we'll touch on Jai Clark in a moment, but in my opinion, probably was the next best for Country across the series.
Yeah, he'd be just about there. Pretty even sort of team.
I know who else you're going to say, but yeah.
No, well, I tend to agree. He'd be one of the candidates there. But yeah, Aaron was, he was great. I mean, I said that he was well contained in a sense by Josh Weddle, but you still get off the chain for 6 scoring shots and 3 goals. It's again that conversion factor. We keep saying it, but same with Humphrey. If he had kicked his 6 straight, then be maybe a different story, and maybe Country would have lifted the cup. So that's obviously something that he can improve on. All these prospects aren't perfect, but still, like Humphrey, just had such a big impact on the game out of the forward 50.
And if we're looking at some of the other Country prospects, obviously Harvey Gallagher coming in for his debut, he's been rewarded off the back of an outstanding season, really, for Bendigo, hasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. His back end to the year was phenomenal. And he plugged straight into that small running defender role for Vic Country and, topped their disposal charts with 23 touches. So we knew he was capable, and as an overager, one of the rare ones, I guess, across both of the Victorian sides. He showed his class, and I thought he was really good in the early goings before sort of fading out a touch. But just his run, his work rate, and that kicking are really good assets for him.
And if that form had been maybe the first half of the season, he could well have been on an AFL list through the mid-season draft based on that form.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he would have been an absolute lock. I mean, a few people probably thought he was unlucky even as a mid-forward to not get drafted last year. But, credit to him. He's come back, adjusted his role, and led Bendigo to some really good results this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Another sort of leader, I guess, out there on the field in Ollie Holland, 23 disposals. He was quite influential through the midfield. Yeah,
absolutely. They've got a pretty strong core of midfielders country. So, along with Jai Clark, who had less of the ball, but started really well and ended well. He was fantastic. I thought, again, he's one who's just got that running capacity. So the way he works so hard and is able to get inside and outside ball is pretty impressive. So, 23 touches, an equal high with Gallagher there. Pretty good for his stocks too.
Yeah. And just quickly before we touch on the other player, Jacob Constanti kicked 1-3, so a bit of the same as the others, but lively, has his moments.
Yeah, absolutely busted a gut, really to get a lot of the possessions he did, and does everything at 100%. So really enjoyed his game up forward.
Yeah, and if we take a look at now the next player who we're very excited about for next year, it's no real surprise, but Harley Reid, that last quarter, he almost took the game away from Metro. Yeah,
well, it goes to show, like, the kid's a natural mid-forward, spends a lot of time kicking goals up forward, and, chuck him inside attacking 50 to win you a game. He almost did so. So 2 goals, took a couple of big contested marks in the square, and he's the sort of kid that just loves the occasion. And I'm going to throw it out there now. A lot of people have said the same thing, but we do our 23 for 2023 and so on sort of article come the end of the current draft, and he's easily going to be number 1 for me. So, no surprise, but I know what you're going to say.
Yeah.
But, everyone can look forward to that article, but he's going to be the first one on it.
Yeah, fair enough. No. I don't know if you knew what I was going to say, but... Anyway, we'll move on from that.
Neck on the line sort of stuff. Yeah, cool.
Precisely, he was going to be in the 23 is what I was going to say, yeah.
Yes.
We're going to move on now by, finishing off with the last player for Vic Country, the best one of the series, Jai Clark, Geelong Falcons. Look, he's just a jet, really. He's just so consistent. He's the player that teammates love to be around, and I think it's almost fitting that he's coming into the league as today of recording Joel Selwood retiring, because there's so many traits like outside of the actual football ability that you can attribute to him, and I feel like they're very similar players from that leadership and just drive and willingness perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And even on field, there's plenty spoken about Joel Selwood and ducking whatever, be what it is. Jai Clark plays similarly, drives low, he's hard at the ball. You'll probably get a few head cuts throughout his career, tough as nails. And as you say, the sort of, the stuff that you can't measure, like that leadership, his character. He was captain of Vic Country. I think he shared it with Aaron Cadman on the last game. But just an incredible leader, always sticks up for his mates, and he's always the one that was first in a skirmish, dragging opposition off his teammates and whatnot. So can't really speak highly enough about him. I think he's an incredible player. I can't wait to see him study stuff on the big leagues at least. Yeah,
absolutely. So that was obviously Jai Clark, who was their MVP.
Yep.
And now we're going to take a look at Will Ashcroft, who won the Lark medal. I know we said we weren't going to say any more about him, but I guess we've got to. He keeps winning medals. But what a star. Like, we know, realistically, pick one if it was an open draft. Right now, we know he's going to go to Brisbane. He's already doing the old, going to be in Brisbane type thing. So he knows they're going to match. Everyone knows they're going to match. So there's no secret there. The question is, do North bid with pick one?
I think that'd be considerably silly not to. Just do it. Honestly, I can't see any reason why they wouldn't. I think he is the best player in the draft. And there might have been a reluctancy last year with Nick Dacos, whether clubs want to buddy up and whatnot. even GWS passed on him on bidding. So, I just think it'd be stupid not to be honest. That's about it.
Yep,
Pretty
fair
simple
enough.
answer.
Yeah.
He's a star.
Nah, fair enough. And we have spoken a fair bit about him. So, no shortage of content, and there won't be over the next couple of months.
Wait till you see the draft guide.
Yeah, nah. Well, his profile's already out there. For anyone who wants to, go have a squiz at his profile, Michael's written a very nice long one because apparently he's had a pretty good year. Yes. Moving on from the two Victorians, we'll move on to South Australia's MVP, Adam Deloya. I guess similar type role to Jai Clark, that inside body, consistent, probably doesn't get the plaudits a lot of others do, and obviously there's reasons for that, but just had a really consistent carnival, and I don't think we saw anyone else getting it when he was awarded it.
Yeah, I mean, it just gets the job done. I think he's one that the coaching staff in South Australia just really value for that, so leads by example. Obviously, he's played at senior levels in the sample reserves and just wins the ball at will. So his numbers are always going to look good as well. And just his tough contested work. He's sort of a tone setter for every team he gets in. And that was no different when he donned the tricolours of South Australia, and really good performances from him across all of his games. So as you said, a deserving winner, and probably no one really pushing him too hard. If Mateus Philippou didn't have his knocks through the carnival, maybe him, but I think Deloya was the one.
And if we're looking across to Western Australia, Ruben Ginbey was one who, well, at the start of the carnival, I don't think anyone would have picked him, but he had a remarkable carnival, went ahead of others that were perhaps rated higher than him coming in. We know Elijah Hewitt was in there, Jed Buslinger, obviously, unfortunately, finished with an injury. But he just was consistent again and got the job done.
Absolutely. A bit like Deloya was just sort of their number one, really, and throughout each game stepped up. So he's another one he's played at Waffle League level for East Perth, and just has the sort of physical maturity to dominate against his peers, at least in this age group, and definitely did so. So his power, just his clean hands, that contested work again, a bit in a similar vein to Deloya, was really strong. So another deserving winner, and ahead of some pretty classy players, like Hewitt. I know Buslinger didn't play every game. Darcy Jones, I think he missed out on one in that massive COVID group. So Ginbey was the one, and very deserving winner again.
And obviously he's sort of shot up a bit up the order. Where do you sort of see him going at this stage?
Yeah, we'll wait and see for the power rankings, mate.
All right, no worries. It's just in the run sheet to ask you about it, so he's keeping tight-lipped. Righto. Moving on to the allies to wrap it up. Harry Ralston, obviously got some games with Calder towards the end of the year. Giants Academy member, really, again, consistent midfielder. We're seeing a theme here, Midfielders Award.
Maybe.
But definitely he's another one who just had a really consistent all-round year and didn't really do anything wrong at the carnival. He's just one of those players that just ticks a lot of boxes. Yeah,
he's solid as. I mean, we saw it up close again once he hit the nubbly with Calder. Just the standout best player in that Calder side pretty easily. And for the Allies was just consistent. Won the ball easily in midfield, was one of their prime movers there, and was able to push forward, just has an enormous running capacity, or probably work rate, it might be the better phrase, but his ability to take those overhead marks, kick goals, he did a bit of everything for the Allies. So again, probably one who, just based on being consistent throughout the games, was undeniable. No, absolutely. So they're all pretty consistent across the board. Makes sense why they won the MVPs, really. So basically that's our championships done and dusted for another year. We're going to move on to now the Under-17s Futures game, which was the curtain raiser on AFL Grand Final Day. Exciting. Obviously, they're without Harley Reid, who decided to destroy the group above him the couple of days earlier, and Nick Watson as well, of course, the player who probably early in the year many saw as potential number one pick for next year. So a couple of really big gun players, really. But in the match, Team Hooley won 10-8-68, defeating Team Murphy 4-16-40. Obviously, it was
bit of an inaccurate display there from Murphy. I think we were all sort of scratching our heads and thinking what could have been if they'd sort of kicked a bit straighter. But what did you make of the game?
Yeah, entertaining. I mean, what we want out of these games is just for it to be a talent showcase, and that's what it was. A bit like the Country Metro under-18s, they moved the ball pretty quickly, and there might have been a few mistakes and some nerves and whatnot, and a few big players missing. On top of obviously Reid and Watson, there are, I think, a trio of Peel Thunder players who opted to play in the Colts finals, so good on them. But we still got to see a lot of high-end talent and a few other kids get their opportunities with late call-ups, and a lot of impressive players across the board.
Yeah, it's an exciting group of players. Maybe perhaps aside from the goal kicking, it was pretty classy around the ground. Like people were a bit of bruise-free footy, but it was good. Being able to see players hit up targets pretty easily and move the ball really quickly, so that was really impressive. Daniel Curtin, Claremont defender over there, 22 touches, 8 marks, best on ground.
Yeah, easily. I mean, he was fantastic, especially in the first half. Just his intercept marking, reading of the play, his just composure with the ball. He does a bit of everything. So we didn't get to see him play forward in this game, but we know he's done that, obviously, at least for Claremont, a little bit in the Waffle Colt season, and then school or college footy as well. So he's a super talent, and we sort of had earmarked him even last year when he was playing up in the under-17s carnival for Western Australia. Just looked every bit a star. So it's good to see him come on and find a bit of consistency and produce a big performance on the big stage. He was very, very impressive in that defensive lineup. If we're quickly looking over a few other names, a couple of South Australians, Jack Deline and Lucas Slade, as well as Tasmanian Colby Mccutcher. Give us a bit of a rundown into how they went on the big day. Yeah, so Jack Deline's just that really clever small forward. I think he's one who embodies that excitement around a lot of the prospects in this draft pool. So just such a natural goal kicker. He's smarts to kick 3 goals. You can kick on both feet. Makes opponents look silly at times. So he's a pretty exciting one. Colby Mccutcher, prime mover for Tasmania this season in midfield and used a bit of the same sort of zip and class with ball in hand to win a fair bit of the ball. And Lucas Slade as well. He's going to be really, really key to South Australia's team next year. Impressive kid, can do a bit of everything, can play on each line, and I thought he was pretty good for Team Hooley as well. Yeah,
and some of the other players that sort of stood out, obviously for Team Murphy, Caden Cleary had 30-plus touches, so was sort of the big ball winner on the day, but Ben Ridgway, Will Lorenz, Riley Sanders, Jake Rogers all got plenty of it. So any sort of mentions from them you want to point out particularly?
Yeah, I think like Cleary and Ridgway, even Sanders, were just those consistent on-ballers who won a lot of it. So, yeah, as you said, Cleary 31 touches, just racked it up. He and Ridgway probably weren't the most prolific ball users in an efficiency sense. They still did pretty well, but you look at a guy like Will Lorenz, his agility and smarts inside attacking 50 were amazing. He had a phenomenal first half. Riley Sanders, his touch by hand was really, really good around the stoppages. Probably wasn't as expansive as others, like a Jake Rogers, who was just really energetic around the ball, and his smarts are pretty high end, I think. So I think the Gold Coast Suns are going to have a pretty good one there. I just want to give a shout out to Zane Dursmore as well. The delivery to him probably wasn't that great, but he kicked a couple of goals, looked really good with his clean hands and just ability to get off the leash up forward. So, a few good players there.
Yeah, no, I agree. It was a really impressive showcase. Perfect conditions too, which was great to see. So was the game under the roof at Marvel. Surprise, surprise.
There was a bit of a draft in there, but no, it's good.
There will be later in the year. Anyway, enough of those. He's just clicked. That's great. Anyway, that's about all we have time for today. Particularly the dad jokes there. That's it for the Final Siren Podcast. So, Michael, thanks for joining me again today.
Thanks for having me. It's good that we got this show on the road, and hopefully it ends up okay too.
Yeah. Absolutely. So if you've got any suggestions from what you'd like to hear from us going forward, make sure you let us know, obviously via our socials at Rookie Me Central, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe us and hit that bell icon to stay tuned for more on YouTube. I've been your host, Peter Williams. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you'll join us again next time.